it's Jen Suzuki, and I'm in the industry. I meet some of the greatest leaders out there, dealer execs, dealers, GMs, and I'm bringing them in the studio to talk to me about what's making their business pop, what's accelerating their growth. I'm sharing my own personal strategies for your sales teams, so I'm ready to get after it. Are you? Welcome back, listeners, to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki podcast. And I am very excited to have somebody on from CallRevu today because, you know, I'm a super big advocate of CallRevu. Probably in all of my service and sales classes, every week we pull calls probably every day. Literally every day. And I like doing this because I think single-handedly it's probably like one of the most effective things that dealers could do to help improve process and also people and really identifying if there's any red flags in our process where customers are not going to be happy about and we can correct them and fix them right away. If you ain't listening to the calls and you don't really know what's going on, I want to welcome my guest, Reuben Fine, with us today. He works with OEM partnerships at CallRevu. Welcome.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me, Jen. Big fan.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I've been around a long time. We were just offline talking about, you know, his time with TrueCar. You've got a pretty extensive background in the car business.
Yeah. It was good times over at TrueCar. But yeah, I remember watching your videos back then when you were first starting out. So I'm so happy to see all the success that you've made so far and how far you've come.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. Well, I try not to let off the gas with the videos because I feel like there's just, it's probably the easiest thing to consume in a short amount of time. So when I'm in dealerships, it's much like the podcast too. You know, I'm always kind of looking for a special angle that comes up in the classes, and I always try to record it and put it out there. So it comes a learning moment for those following. But yeah, so it was TrueCar. You know, you've had history working in dealerships, AutoNation, and now you're in charge of OEM partnerships at CallRevu. What have you seen the relationship between the OEMs and the dealers evolve over the years? What's it been like for you, especially in the terms of like tech and adoption and training?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, over the course of the last decade or so, it's definitely become a lot more collaborative than I've experienced in the past. You know, I think can't really speak to how it really was when I was working in the dealership. I started in, you know, mid 2000s. I would say it was very, I don't know, contentious. You know, it was like, hey, did you hit your sales numbers? And, you know, we're going to give you some allocation. We're not going to give you allocation. So it's kind of like that. And then I think in the mid, you know, like last decade in 2010 and 2020, I think with data and, you know, my time at TrueCar, it was, there was a lot of talk about compliance, right? And people, dealers being in and out of compliance. You know, so I think it was a little adversarial in that, or a little punitive. But now, you know, stepping in over the last couple of years, I've seen this shift, and it's gotten a lot more collaborative. The conversations that I'm having here at CallRevu is more of a, you know, hey, how can we help the dealers? What resources can we provide to the dealers to help them sell more cars? You know, and it's coming. I think, you know, oftentimes as we evolve, the pendulum swings too far left or too far right, and I think we're getting to a point now where dealers are definitely looking at, or OEMs are looking at, hey, you know, what can we do to support our network? How can we get them to sell more cars? How can we improve the customer experience?
So would you say that OEMs now are really paying attention to the calls more now than ever? Or have you seen them say things like, this is becoming such a big initiative for us, or, you know, we're starting to move towards more emphasis on calls? What are you hearing from them as, you know, as they make these transitions?
Yeah, I think all of the above, right? I think that there are, the OEMs are saying, hey, look, we want to better understand what's happening on the phones, and how can we support the dealers to improve phone efficiency, right? And I think, you know, I remember when I was coming up in the automotive, there was phone tracking. I remember listening to the call, my GM would give me calls and he'd be like, what are you
like, oh.
Like, oh, I was like, oh, duh, right? But I think, you know, I think the technology has evolved. ever since I was listening to my calls. It's not just the call recording now, but there's so much data
Yep.
within the phone call. There's so much more insight within that phone call. Stepping into CallRevu, I really didn't know how much data there was until I opened the hood, and I'm like, oh wow, this is chock full of technology here. So, but all of that could be used to help improve process at the store level, to help customers have a better experience, for OEMs to support those dealers in ways that just helps with the efficiency on the phone. So, I mean, the conversations now are of, hey, we want to get a better understanding of what's happening on the phone, and we want to be able to know how to leverage the data to drive more business to dealers.
Why do you think that has become such a big importance to them?
I
Is it
think
because more customers are there calling the service department, calling the sales department? Do you think that, what do you think it is?
call volumes have increased. I've seen that, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I think, you know what? I remember. I don't know if you remember this or not, but maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, late 2010s, there was this big push and a way to say that, hey, millennials don't like to call, right? It's all the digital world. They're going to submit a lead. They're going to do chats. They don't want to pick up. I remember there were some memes, and I forgot who was saying what, but funny memes of like, millennials not wanting to get on the phone and always like canceling calls. But it's different now, and I'm looking at the data, and I'm like, wow, call volumes for the sales department have increased. The service departments have increased, which leads us to believe that, hey, there are more people calling the dealerships now more than ever. And I think there's a lot of emphasis on that now, where I think we've gotten to a point where we've got full saturation on digital leads, and you submit a lead on a dealer website, you submit a lead on any third party, you're waiting for the dealers to call you back. We all know millennials are impatient and want instant gratification. So what better instant gratification than pick up the phone and let me call the dealer,
Yeah. Let me ask my questions. Let me get it sorted out right now.
Yeah. I mean, look, I had some friends a little younger than me. Some people consider that I'm a millennial too, but I remember talking to a friend, and we were talking about Jeeps, and we were saying, hey, listen, those Jeeps are really cool. And he's like, yeah, let me go find out if they have them in stock. Me, normally, I'm like, oh, cool, let me jump on the website and I'll,
exactly. Let me look it up.
No, he just went on his phone, said nearest Jeep dealer, called and said, hey, do you got this, Rubicon in stock? And they're like, yeah, I do. And they're like, great, cool, thanks. And it's one of those things where I think there's a little bit of a culture shift of the demographics, where I think more of them are calling the dealers. And I think, dealers see it, they're feeling it. And I think also recognize the fact that, hey, we gotta track these things, and we got to see how we can improve that customer experience on the phone.
Yeah, I love all of that. I feel the same way. I see the call volume go up in both departments. And when you have all these connections with the OEMs, I wonder how they can support dealers, in your experience, using this sort of technology, and not really just for like compliance, but as a tool for even just training and performance and customer satisfaction. I mean, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I think I'm hearing a lot more conversations of OEMs opening up those categories for call tracking and opening them up for co-op, and seeing how they can subsidize the cost or provide support that way. So co-op is a very big thing. Opening up those categories for us to be a certified vendor on the Plus Up programs. You got a bunch of OEMs that are saying, hey, listen, let's talk about enterprise level solutions for them. So, I think the conversations are becoming more robust now about like, hey, what does the whole solution look like? We've grown ever since I've only been here for, I think going on about 8 months, less than a year. I joined the company, and since then we've acquired Total CX. We have phone systems now. We have training. AI training. There's a lot more enhancements. So there's a heavy emphasis on development of our tools and features and products, And I think OEMs and dealers alike are saying, hey, listen, this is more than just call tracking and recording my calls. Now let's see, what else can you provide, and how else can I leverage that data to improve process and improve that phone efficiency and customer experience.
Give me a couple examples that you see frequently, and maybe even angles that dealers listening could maybe learn something from, where it's like, hey, this is like one of our biggest gripes. This is one of our biggest holes in the whole thing, in the whole process. And here's how you fill it. Because I think it's not just call recording, as you mentioned. There's just a lot more to your system. For me, I like I like being able to target certain words and flag them, and then get it to a TO, so it doesn't fall through the cracks. So if they didn't get an appointment, I like that. If you can target no appointment, and
Yeah.
or a customer saying no to it. And then, it's going to a manager that can pick up the phone and TO it right now, not never.
Yeah.
And I think that's one big thing, that they can move the needle pretty fast. But what are you seeing?
Yeah, I see that too. I mean, like the call alerts that we have on the program are amazing, and it's great because it does flag a manager anytime, like you put a keyword in there, that we're missing an opportunity, for example, right on the call. Our system's listening to that call live, and understanding what's being said on that call. And if AI and our system is saying, hey, listen, there's an appointment opportunity here, but the sales agent, for whatever reason, gets flustered, or is distracted somehow, and is not really going for that hard appointment, right? That firm appointment. There's a lot of soft appointments, right? Oh yeah, you want to come in this Saturday?
Sometime
Great.
on Saturday.
Yeah. But no, you got to get that firm appointment. I remember I used to my managers used to come down on me because they're like, you need date, time,
Text them, send an email.
Exactly. And write
Now
it
it's a
down in our
video.
logbook, because we're going to track that. And so, I come from that world. And so those firm appointments are important, but our alert system will alert a manager if something's happening like that. CSI is a big one. So if we hear that the call's going a little sideways, to alert the managers when that happens. Now, the cool thing is that when you tie that with phone systems, which is one of those things I'm still learning about the phone systems, but using a CallRevu phone system with the alerts, it becomes instant live alerts. So as the call's happening, boom, you can, as a manager, can listen to the call, pick up the call, intercede if there's an issue there. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's definitely for managers, a really good feature to have and a tool to have. So comprehensively, if you have both systems, but having just the alerts itself is really good insights to understanding, hey, what's being said on the call, where are my agents, salespeople, where are they missing? All these calls, we tag the agent extension. We also do voice ID as well. And you could drill down to, maybe some of your newer sales folks. Let's face it, one of the big things that I hear a lot, big challenges, right? OEM side and on the dealer side is, hey, we have, we're hiring aggressively for next year. And we're bringing in all these new folks. A lot of them just don't have dealership experience, right? They don't have phone experience. A lot of them are, maybe fresh out of high school, coming off a retail job at the Gap or so.
Verizon.
Verizon
people.
Yeah. Actually, Verizon guys, oh man, I have some friends that used to work at Verizon I used to work with, and those are really good salespeople there. But so you're getting these green peas, right, coming into the dealership, and so they're not going to know the nuances of a call and how to handle every objection that there is that you get thrown. That's all coming through experience, and so to kind of isolate and say, hey, let me listen to Mary and hear how she's handling her calls, and then be able to sort that and say, hey, listen, where are those missed opportunities? Guide her to with the proper talk tracks and kind of get her developed so she feels more confident in the phone and things like that. And that's one way, our tools can help managers manage those processes. And then we also have this cool new AI tool that kind of helps with that as well, called Test Track. But we could talk about that a little later.
Yeah. Well, how can the OEM support dealers through all of these pain points, all of these opportunities? I mean, you pinpointed a lot of things there, but how can they help dealers?
Yeah, I mean, for them to help dealers, OEMs, for them is twofold. Number one, validation support that, hey, this is, putting us as a as a
Preferred,
certified preferred
certified.
vendor, or yeah, or certified vendor. We are on many cases with a lot of OEMs, but putting us up on that list helps a lot
Hmm.
with dealers. With the
Yeah, brings
validation.
awareness.
Yeah, call
Says it's
reviews,
kind of a big deal.
vetted, and they're good.
But these companies are vetted. This is a company that's vetted.
Right. And
Yeah.
then and then there's support when it comes to co-ops and enterprise, like, so that's how they can help the dealers by subsidizing the cost, because hey, dealers are
Yeah.
spending a lot of money on a lot of different things, so anywhere they can save a few, they that helps. And we're seeing a lot of collaboration with the OEMs in with their field folks, their district sales managers,
Mm.
working closer with the dealers on phone handling, phone skills training, and we're talking to quite a few OEMs lately about providing test track within their training environment.
Hmm.
Um, we're getting some really good feedback on it. I don't know if you've seen
I
it or not,
have.
but
I've used
it's
it.
it's pretty cool, and especially
It's
this
fun.
new version that we're coming out with next. I've been playing with. I was literally just playing with it um, right before this call, but yeah, those technologies, especially with AI right now, is helping dealers kind of move the needle, develop their people, and so OEMs are looking to various ways to support that.
Yeah, and I would imagine that the OEMs at this point have now said, okay, look, I'm raising my hand. We know that there's a huge increase in call volume. This is a first touch point for a lot of our customers and the experience that they have with our dealers. This is a shared brand, in a lot of cases. And of course we want to tackle it. And so I do hope also that the manufacturers get behind you guys and be able to, at least target both of those aspects, and show dealers that this is an important part of your business. It is how we improve business and how we nurture employee satisfaction too, because we have had a big problem with turnover. A lot of times turnover is tied to not coaching and training. And so boom, there you go. And now Test Track, for those that haven't seen it, this is an AI learning model. You're going to make a call to the system and it's going to be a customer and you're going to be able to go back and forth and you're going to try to set appointments or overturn objections. It's going to score you, rate you, and coach you on the areas of opportunity so you can go back in and try again and and continue to perform better. But it's just a fun new tool, and I think it shows your commitment to continuous improvement and helping the dealers get their arms around this thing and put it
Yeah,
down. We got to win.
absolutely. I think I listened to your last show, and yeah, I think you were saying that it was around $300 per call,
Yeah,
right?
at
And
least
calls are expensive.
minimum. Yeah.
There's a cost to those calls, and so hey, taking a newbie and saying, hey, listen, here are some objections. This is how you handle the call. Just ask for the appointment. Don't worry, you'll be fine. You put them on the phone, and if you start putting a number to that, and hey, inevitably new people are going to screw things up, but you want to
Even
mitigate that.
veterans, they
Even
need new
veterans, yeah,
stuff. You need new
absolutely.
words. You can't be using the old stuff. It doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. And so Test Track is a cool, safe environment for them to try that out. And
I like
the
that.
thing that I like the most about it is that it's fully customizable. So,
Hmm.
you can go in there and you can just throttle how difficult you want it. And I built a Test Track model where I was just like, whatever you do, just don't give up your information whatsoever. Be cagey. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
trying so hard. I was using all the tactics and I failed. But it's really good because at the end of the day, that's the type of objections you want, that experience you want, is to see how you can move, bob, and weave through a conversation, and again with an AI, and at least get some of those reps in, or a little bit of a warm up before you actually pick up the phone and have a conversation with a person that costs money.
Right. I mean, because, there's no rehearsals. It's
Yeah.
game time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's dealer education has just been so important, and having a more personalized training tool such as Test Track, it allows everybody to have a tool at their fingertips and have fun, and you can create competitions even, in the dealership. So I've seen this used as with a prize at the end. If you can beat the system and you can set the appointment and you can you can score 10, there's a prize at the end of the road. But it pushes everybody to sort of compete against each other if you really play this right. I think you can have a lot of fun with this. It's a real new modern way to kind of personalize training. And I know you're working with OEMs a lot, and people like CallRevu because they've got more than just a call system, and now they've got a phone system. Now they've got a training system. Always, trying to customize and make it something that hits hard with the dealership in the whole circle. Be there for the whole circle of this thing. I mean, it's not just people calling in. It's also identifying process that's broken and being able to, fix it. And when you have a system like Test Track where, people could come in there and just mess around with it, and you can give it requirements, I'm sure, right? You can put in your own requirements, and you can just, kind of see if we're meeting the mark, or maybe we're starting to see a flag where people think they can do it this way, and it keeps flagging it and saying, okay, look, we got a problem, and it's not on a live customer.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the cool things really about Test Track, in addition to all of that, is the gamification of it and how fun it is, because it's not off of the script, which is great. And so the conversations you have are similar because they're similar challenges, but every persona is a little different. And so some will give up the information better than others, and others will be a little harder on you. But so it adds this variability to it, which makes it fun. And I think, we showed it to an OEM that was very big on training and customer service and things like that. And once we finished the demo, and this was just like one of our early demos of this new model that's coming out pretty soon, and they were speechless, and they're literally their jaws were on the floor, and all they could say was, wow. But it's cool. And I think dealers are going to be super excited about it. I think the OEMs are excited about it. So we'll see how that works. But I think overall for CallRevu, being a comprehensive solution for a dealer, whether it's telephony, call tracking, monitoring, analytics, or on that training side, we're trying to tackle all aspects of the dealerships and needs, and also meet the dealers where they want to be needed and met, and solve problems that they're coming to us and saying, hey, could you help me with this? Because Test Track was built off of dealers saying, hey, listen, like, we have managers, they're busy closing deals. Right. How are we supposed to train our new BDC folks or their new people and sit down and spend hours? Like, we have to sell cars. And so it's very difficult. And so we were like, hey, well, there's AI. Let's see if we can try it out. And we built a couple models of it, proved that it worked. And sure enough, it's becoming a huge hit. So great time saver for managers and dealerships to get some reps in and some training in for their folks in a scalable way.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's fun. Actually, I did a workshop with CallRevu last year, and in our lunch hour we played this game, and it was so fun. And I will tell you, I was like taken back. I think people were like so impressed with something new. It really is like eye opening, because you're just like, I never seen anything like this. I've never used something like this, and wow, I really can have fun learning. And that's always my thing. How do you make learning fun? And there you go. And thinking about the OEMs and the partners like, CallRevu, and helping that you're ensuring that those training and the training programs, they're tailored mostly to, each and every dealership out there, if you can, especially when it comes to aligning with brand messaging or customer experience. How does that work?
Yeah. On the training side of that in Test Track, what's cool about it is that we can set personas, right?
Oh.
And in some ways, as an example, while we're having the conversation with that OEM, he's like, hey, so can I the needs of a East Coast buyer for this particular EV model is different than, say, someone on the West Coast in California, right?
Yeah.
And so easily it's like, okay, well, give us your demographic data and what are the challenges, persona of what a East Coast dealer goes through, or what their challenges are. Let's throw that into the system, and then we can create another challenge for the West Coast folks. And we can easily do that. The cool thing is about it's like deployable within minutes. And so we're doing this live in real time. And I mean, AI is just so amazing that it picks it up, turns into a persona, and starts asking the questions as if it was an East Coast buyer, And so that is highly customizable for a dealer. And then, we imagine that dealers will be able to take that baseline persona and then add more to it and say, hey, these are what my customers that we field on a daily basis. These are some of their challenges. Or this is how they work or act, or these are the type of customers that we have, and these are our challenges. So build a persona around that, around, say, lease and purchasing or something like that.
Right. Okay. There's going to be certain objections and certain things that, buyers are going to say, and they might say it faster than another market. But they become pushbacks and objections, and, prevents getting our end game intact, appointments and stuff like this. So, can the dealer, I don't know this, I just spurred the thought when you said it, but could a dealer put in how they want it to be handled?
Yeah, they can. Yeah. It's all part of just adding prompts, into the system and saying, hey, this is how I would like the agent to act, and what we would like their personality to be, their mindset, the requirements. So yeah, the more detail there, the
very personalized, very tailored.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. Because, that's always the thing with stuff like this. People be like, oh, it doesn't know my market. Oh, my customers are different. It's all the same stuff, but maybe sometimes East Coast customers might be a little more abrupt and fast to the punch.
Yeah. Oftentimes, I mean, I was guilty of it. You had a sales trainer come in. He was from the East Coast. I was on the West Coast. I'm like, that talk track's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And so that's not our customer.
That's not our customer. Case,
models like trainers like that, does those digital trainers that we often see. Some of them are built on just like models and scripts. But the cool thing with AI, it's so dynamic that we can just put in any type of personality objections, feature, what their challenges are. There could be specific challenges that we can build, so it's fully customizable to, let's just say, Subaru buyer that loves the woods, and we just put that in there. They love the woods and they go camping like almost every other weekend, and so they'll bring that up during the call, and and we respond to that. So it's interesting.
Yep. That would work really well where I live, because we are full-blown winter now, and everybody is hitting the mountains. That is why the people live here in Colorado. You bring that up in the conversation, you be gelling real quick. Anyway, but we're always thinking about staying progressive and staying relevant, and everybody's constantly pivoting to the next big challenge in the industry, and you got your OEMs and the dealers trying to future-proof this business, and it is evolving and moving as fast as I've ever seen it. So what do you think we got to do to future-proof when it comes to operations through training and even tech?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think that over the course of my career and talking to a lot of dealers and understanding how they think and how they want to future-proof. This conversation goes, every year. It's like, how do we future-proof our dealers? Technology's moving.
Oh gosh, you want to stay on top of it. I mean, geez, you can miss the mark real quick. Blink of an eye.
I think it's just evaluating your, in a broader term or broader sense, evaluating your tech stack and understanding, hey, what vendors do you have? What technology do you have that's going to take you into tomorrow, into the next 5 years, right? And looking to see like, hey, what are we using? What are we utilizing? Is it working for us now? Is it going to work for us tomorrow? Are there other solutions that we need to consider? I think constant review of that, whether it's like every year or every couple of years, is important. I mean, something that did come up where I was at a conference once, and this is very new to CallRevu, so I really didn't know anything at all.
Uh-huh.
But we were talking to a dealer group, and they mentioned that they're like, yeah, you guys now have phone systems, and we're like, yeah, we do. And they're like, yeah, we haven't changed our phone systems in like 25 years. Can you help us? And I was like, wow,
that.
25 years. I'm like, we don't think the phone is, just a dial pad and a handset, and that's all you need. But the technology now in a voice over IP system, the handset, the technology for that on the phone has come such a long way since 25 years ago. But it's thinking like that and saying, hey, look, do our phone systems need to be updated? One of the big things that jumped out to me, I knew this was the case, but seeing the data come through,
Okay.
one of our benchmark reports is about 30 to 40% of calls go unanswered at the dealership, right?
I mean, that's just wild. I mean, you literally, I hope that stops people in their steps.
It's low hanging fruit. Just pick up the phone.
It's so frustrating to call
if you
a place.
only pick up a portion of those phone calls, and if every phone call, if you put a dollar value to that phone call, hey, that phone call could be worth, a deal, $2,000 a copy.
A lifetime customer.
And so it's finding and identifying those lost opportunities. But identifying that is super important, and not missing those calls. How do you do that, right? And with older, outdated systems, hey, customer calls your line and goes to voicemail, and that's it. Now phone systems have apps. One of our systems has an app, and so the phone rings on the handset, and it also rings on your cell phone, right? But it's not just going to a salesperson's cell phone, private cell phone, but it's through like a CallRevu app, which those calls are then recorded and tracked, and we're extracting all the data from that too. So that's important. And I think
for sourcing your advertising.
Exactly. That's important too, to see how effective the marketing spend you are, the marketing dollars you're putting in, tracking those ads and seeing how effective that's working on either an appointment basis or a conversion basis. So I think that's how dealers will look at. I recommend that they look at future-proofing their businesses, looking at what they're currently using, their technology, and just reevaluating periodically to see if it's the right fit for them. And then from there, it's a matter of execution and seeing how you can use the data from all the vendors, from all your technology to gain insights and make some process changes.
Yeah. What do you see as the most critical skills? Or even just knowledge that dealerships are going to need in the coming years to stay competitive, and what's CallRevu doing about it?
Yeah, so I think I think one of the big skills would probably be in mindset. I'm noticing that. I'm noticing as working at the previous company, TrueCar, and then AutoNation, and talking to dealers now, and OEMs of having this mindset of service, almost like hospitality, of how do we best service that customer and provide them the best customer experience possible, holistically, like an omni-channel. If you think about it, like an omni-channel customer experience, right? That the experience digitally matches what's happening on the phone and what's happening in person, right? I live in California, so we go to Disneyland quite a bit, and it's a really great experience, regardless of how your take on Disneyland. I used to have, kids are grown now, but we had two small kids, and it can get frustrating in the park, right? And lines could be super long. You're waiting 2 hours for a Dumbo ride, and you got $20, hamburgers and soft drinks
That
and
suck.
they're taking all the money from you. And at the end of the day, you're like, whoa, like I spent so much money, and like it could be very frustrating at times, but at the end of the day, when you leave, you're like, wow, that was a really great experience. And it's
Oh
one
yeah,
of
your
the,
kids are so happy. It was a great
yeah,
family time. It was a whole day event.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, crazy things happen, unexpected surprises. Yeah, you left and you felt a certain way.
yeah, you
That
felt it
brings you back over and over and over to keep spending all your money.
100%. And you're smiling and you're like, yeah, you
Yeah,
know what?
and you
I all that had
it's
a,
so
had a
wild,
good
isn't it?
time. And so I forgot who it was that I was talking to, and they're like, yeah, if you think about, Disneyland and Disney and their culture and the way that they train their people and that customer
Mm,
experience, digital process, online and offline process, it's almost like they're smiling at you all the time. And I
they
was like,
are.
I didn't really like, I was like, nah, no way. And I started like playing around on the site. I'm like, it's very happy. You look at the messages they send you when you buy your tickets, a lot of exclamation points. And it just digitally, it looks like it feels like they're smiling.
Aligned.
If you call them, it sounds like they're smiling at you. And
Yeah,
then when you go get your ticket, or you go through the ticket counter, or you talk to anybody, the cast members over there, they're smiling at you, right? They have a really
yeah.
great time. And I think that is it. Customer service skill is a lost art, and it is an art. And I think that it's one of those things where I've really started valuing that a lot more lately. And you notice, when you go into dealerships,
Mm,
who has a good sales, customer service culture, hospitality culture,
totally. Everyone's got a
because
vibe.
everyone's happy. Everyone's happy there. You talk to them there, and you feel good
Yeah.
walking to a dealership. And I think that as dealers start to dial that in and focus more on that, I think that's going to be a huge benefit for those dealers that adopt that skill.
I'm so aligned with you on that. I love your analogy, your example. I just got back from Disney last week and I've been many times and I feel you on that cycle.
Yeah,
But you're right, I mean, there are a lot of arms to that organization and ways that you can work with them, and whether that's you're calling or you're looking at a site or you're visiting a hotel property or you're trying to get VIP, by calling in and or just showing up in line. And there's just a lot of touch points. The consistency of that, it's pretty remarkable when you think about it. You're talking about thousands of people on deck to
yeah,
serve a customer, and everyone's got to be consistent with the culture, the mindset, as you mentioned. And I love that you are saying to future proof, to think about the future and, to nail that. It's really about a personalized experience for people. And you're really thinking about how do you stay competitive and stand apart from everybody else? Well, you can't be basic. You can't be generic. You really have to dig a little bit deeper and understand, what people want and who they are and remember things about them and, provide a more personalized experience. And the only way that you're really going to tie that back to your culture is to listen for it, to look for it, and I always find it like interesting when people want to, they want to train on call process, but then they don't record the call. Like, how do you tie it back to accountability?
yeah, yeah, that's right. And there's a lot of value in listening. It's not even the manager having to listen to the call and coach
You don't
an
even have to
agent.
do that
There's,
anymore.
there's a lot of value in as a salesperson just listening to that call again,
Yeah.
right? And listen,
Or just reading the transcript.
yeah, exactly. And I think that there's a lot of insights. There's a lot of like self-reflection and learning that
Yeah.
happens, and there's a lot of nonverbal that can make and break, appointment or a deal, and win over that rapport with the customer. And could be just tone, right? It's not about what you say; it's how you say it sometimes. And a lot of us, we never really listen to ourselves on. We don't ever like record
Nobody
ourselves.
likes to do that,
No,
Reuben.
sometimes a little cringy when you're like, oh man. I remember when I was like, I did a couple presentations and then they recorded it and I had to watch myself
You're like,
present, and I'm like, ooh, oh my God, like my
Who
face,
is this
oh, the way I'm
person?
walking, what are my hands doing? And so, but it's really good insight. And the more I think that
Totally.
we listen to ourselves and we self-reflect and have the opportunity to kind of say, hey, how can we do better? It changes the way that we think about and how we approach that customer experience and how we approach the next call. And we only get better from it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, having the technology to do that is cool. And CallRevu does that, so you can listen to, an agent can listen to their own calls. Doing
Yeah.
that every once in a while is also a good best practice that I say is something that everyone should do, whether you're new or you're a veteran. Just to listen to your own calls, just to see how you could do better.
Yeah. Align with that. That's in my own personal sales career, I can tell you that's what launched me into changing, modifying, particularly my tone. I wouldn't even be here today doing what we're doing right now had I not been listening to my calls. I used to sound like a high-pitched bird, and even though I still talk fast, and there's still, you focus on tone because you realize, oh, look, I sound like a bore. Like I can't be calling all these people and I sound boring.
Yeah,
For me, I built my business off the phone, and it all tied back to you have to have some personal evaluation, and nobody likes to listen to their call. I mean, I play back videos on my phone, my kids take of me, and I'm like, I hate the way I sound. But here, look, at the end, I don't care. I'll listen to it all day long if it's going to make me more money.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of value on the phone. I think phone's super important now. It's like the up. It's what it is. It's like as if a
Yeah.
customer is showing up and how you present yourself. I remember standing on point plenty of times. Saw a guy, called him, and then I just made sure, hey, I'm all tucked in. I'm ready to go. I look good, and so doing that and doing that, self-reflecting on how you are on the phone and your tone and how
Yeah.
you greet the customer and making sure that's super positive. It's a way to set that first impression with that customer and set you apart and your dealership apart from the competition. Can't tell you how many
Totally.
times just being nice and having like a pleasant, collaborative tone of like, hey, I'm here to help you. Like, you're calling me, you want to buy a car, I'm here to help. How can I help you? And being just very supportive.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything too crazy. I'm not giving out numbers, no nothing. Just being having good customer service and having an approach of, hey, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
They call other dealerships, and a lot of them, even back then, I think more now, because of COVID, a lot of them kind of gotten a little dry on the phone. And so they're kind of like, pick up the phone and they're like, hey, how can I help you? Yeah, do I have the car? Nah, I don't have it. But if you want to come on.
That's basic
And like,
right
I was
there.
kind of low energy there. And who would want to come in for that? But hey, comparatively, if you're happy, you have a good tone to you and you have a good approach. I think ultimately, one of my GMs told me, he's like, look, people buy from people, so sell you first. And that really stuck with me. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
can do that by listening to yourself and saying, hey, do I want to buy from me? And if
Exactly.
not, then make those changes yourself and develop those skills. And I think with that, I think any salesperson, whether you're brand new to the business or you're a veteran, could improve and ultimately sell more cars and have a great dealership career.
Yeah, you've given us a lot of great insights that I totally align with everything you said today. It was great reminders, also some great insights about thinking about the future and what's ahead and staying relevant, leveraging the technology that's available today to really outdo your competitors, but stay on top of it. This is your business, and a lot of people are calling in. That's that's the first contact. So you got to crush this thing. You can't miss 30 to 40% of the calls. Let's start there. But and leveraging the phone systems and the training tools that are out there. It's just a complete package over here. And I love that manufacturers are really waking up to the fact that there's a lot of call volume. So we have to look at the business a little bit differently and from a more relevant perspective that, okay, look, it's going to be a little bit different. We have to evaluate the process a little differently than the walk-in traffic. And we have to be thinking about customer experience. And do we hear that? Do we hear that tonality? We have to be looking at certain questions and ways that we connect with people. And you can flag all this stuff in the call and it could be part of a conversation on a regular basis. When the OEMs support the dealers by getting involved in stuff like this, it really showcases to everybody that, hey, this is where the customers are at, and this is where we got to tighten stuff up. A great initiative going into a new year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2025. I think it's going to be a huge year for dealers and our partnerships with the OEMs and dealers alike. So, yeah, I'm super excited to showcase some new products, enhancements to our existing products, and working with more dealers next year.
Well, go check them out. Check out CallRevu at NADA show. I'll be there.
I'll be there too. Come by and say hi.
Great. Oh, no, I'll be there. Anyone listening that's going to be at NADA, CallRevu is always on my radar. I always recommend checking it out, and I think, of course, I'm obsessed with calls, so of course we align. But thank you, Reuben. It was really great to talk to you, my man, and thank you so much for the experience and great reminders today, and also in thinking about the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jen. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. If you like these episodes and my sales game techniques, you should snatch up our latest dealer education program I'm hosting. It's called Jen's Remote Classes, and it's a 1-hour, once-a-week class with me alongside other dealerships all pursuing the same end game to achieve top 10% status in your dealership. For more info, hit me up. All my contact info's in the show notes. I want to hear from you. And follow Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki right now to get notified when episodes like this one drop. This is Jen on the podcast Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. See ya!